Hi, friends. Welcome back. I am so happy to be in this space here with everyone. If you're coming back from the very first session, welcome back into the Creative Vineyard Creative Festival. I was really astounded. And, we did have some technical difficulties as promised. That was part of the deal. That was part of the guarantee. But in spite of those, it just felt like such a special, holy place to be able to step into an environment to listen to the beautiful, creative expressions that are coming out from people who are. I'm laughing here. I just got a compliment on my T-shirt, or not my T-shirt, on my shirt, and it is actually my favorite gigging shirt. I'm not going to lie to you. Yes, you're that special. You get my gigging shirt, which is not in use these days. That's part of the space that we're in, this strange COVID time where the things that were part of our regular rhythms are just kind of not part of our regular rhythms anymore. And there's new regular rhythms that are coming into place. And so, before we bring on some of our contributors for this second session of this creative festival that we're into, just want to speak a few things. I want to be relentlessly boring about just a couple of things, and I'll probably say these with every session, both because we'll have people who will be joining us throughout for the first time. And also just because it bears repeating, just like the sun bears repeating. The sunrise matters every day. And so repetition is not a bad thing. But this space that we are creating here, even though it is existing within the constraints of what is more or less a global lockdown, we have people from across North America who are part of the contribution sort of pool of creatives, as well as from the UK, and then we've got people I know who are tuning in from literally the other side of the planet. I mean, we had somebody on the morning session, what was for us the morning session, from South Africa, and so, and I know further far flung. So just recognizing that we are for the first time in an environment that has some commonality, this unique challenge, and so what we're looking to do here with creating a space to hear from a variety of different kinds of artists and creatives is to just hear the stories that are being told, that are getting unpacked by people who see the world in a unique way. And listen, this is a really important thing that I really need everyone to hear, is that we use this term creatives and artists to describe a certain kind of, like people who really almost vocationally or have a sense of calling or are compelled to do creative work. But we know that we are all creatives, that this is something that we find rooted in the very character, activity of God. Jesus is quoted often as saying, Look, my Father is working from that day until this, and I too am working, right? I'm doing what my Father does. And, we can sometimes get into this mindset of thinking that God is all about just like a restoration project, right? That is, after all, so much of what the gospel calls us to, right? God is coming to restore all things, to renew all things, and that is well and true and good, and let's not forget it. But the first and primary work of God was that of creator, of taking something that didn't exist and then making it so, making it exist. And as well, even in our sense of the gospel and being rescued and saved, and stepping into the salvation of Jesus. In that space too, we recognize that what God is calling us to is not simply a restoration project, but He's calling us to a new creation, right? And so God is forever and always and consistently the creator. And so this is part of what we're stepping into, is to remind ourselves of that in this unique time, and to be able to hear from these different voices and these myriad of expressions, how He's moving around us. And so just want to welcome you into this space, and I'm going to open every session with a prayer. My candle that I lit for the very first session actually burned all the way down, and so I don't have a candle within reach to light, but But I just want to call us into that space. And one of the reasons why we, in the Guelph Vineyard here, where I pastor, that we do light a candle often, is to remind us that we're actually creating sacred space here. And I am so grateful for that sacred space. I tell you, this morning was such a rich experience for me personally, just hearing from everybody. And also just to remind people, as we're presenting these various different songwriters and writers and poets, and there's a variety of people who will be presenting this afternoon, to use our Facebook comment feed. I'm not really able to monitor the YouTube one, just with the constraints of technology, but I can monitor the Facebook feed. And so if you interact with questions, if something feels particularly appropriate, I'll pass that along to whoever's presenting, and we can have a dialogue together and actually share this space. And also something that really occurred to me powerfully in the last session is just there was a chorus of feedback coming in through the Facebook feed, in particular the comments feed, and really it was almost like we were singing together. People revoicing and speaking out resonances for them. And so it was both being able to almost hear one another in that sort of weird sense of the like I said, the resonance, the harmony of the space, and also providing filters for people. It's a gift to know that a particular phrase really spoke to you. And so I just want to encourage you to use that comments field in that way, and it's just super, super helpful, super encouraging. So, and the other thing that I'm going to say consistently is that this is not a pro operation here. The studio space for the Vineyard Creative Festival is my office/studio space. And so we are bound to have a couple of technical glitches, which we did in the first session, and we got through them okay. But just ask for your grace in those moments, and part of that is that I am going to let Adrian Wilson know that he is up in just a minute. Because we don't really have a production staff happening in the background here. So let me just pray, and then I'm going to invite Adrian to come forward and to share his song. So Lord, I thank you. I thank you for the rich gift that we are to one another in this space. Lord, the gifts of language, the gift of music, the gift of images and questions and stories, and moments of joy and even moments of uncertainty and fear. Lord, but we get to share these things. We get to share these things creatively. And so, Lord, as we do this, I pray that you would just continue to orient us both towards your Spirit at work in us, but also orient us to the work of your Spirit in one another. Lord, this is so important for us. And God, we also declare that this is a shared space. Particularly for those who are tuning in live, we're actually sharing time. We can't share space the way that we would like to, but we can share time. And so, Lord, help us to be able to step into the full reality of that, and to feel genuinely connected to one another as we genuinely are in your presence, in your Spirit. And Lord, we just invite you to move powerfully among us, whatever that looks like in this time. Thank you that you speak to us through art and creativity, and in unexpected and unlooked for ways. So we invite all of that into this space here. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So I'm just seeing some of these comments coming up on the Facebook feed. That's awesome. Keep them coming. I'm just going to invite Adrian to come and to join me here, and we're gonna see if we've actually wrestled the tech into submission here. So this is the moment. All right, and so here we have Adrian Wilson. And Adrian, I'll say a couple of things, and then I'll let him introduce himself the rest. But Adrian is such a dear friend, and we've known each other now for, I think, about 11 years, something like that. 12 maybe, actually, something like that. I think 12 years. And He's our worship leader at the Guelph Vineyard, and so that's he's a really good friend and a wonderful worship leader, and I'm really grateful to have him here to share a song. So, Adrian, why don't you? I'll just give you the floor, and you can let me know when you want me to play the video. I am at your at your command, sir.
Can you hear me okay?
Sure can.
Right on. So, hello everybody. As Chris already introduced, my name is Adrian Wilson. I live in Guelph, Ontario, and I'm doing life here with Chris and having a lot of fun doing it. I am a husband to one beautiful wife, father to 4 amazing children, and a neighbor and a co-worker. And I like to write songs. And so I'm going to sing one for you today. And Chris, I don't know if this throws you way off, but I'm actually kind of prepared to sing it live. So I don't know if you prefer that over the video.
You do what you want to do, man. That sounds good to me. If yeah, absolutely. I'm going to switch this over so that this will work a bit better for us. Then yeah, go for it.
We'll go on the fly here, but so this song is a little bit, getting at the idea of there not being a difference between sacred and secular. I have had moments, big moments and small moments, where I've sensed this reverence inside of me. I don't know if you've had that yourself. Big moments could be like the birth of a child, or moments of heroism or sacrifice. But even just small moments too, on a walk with my young daughter, hearing the birds, and even just small moments of breathing in breath, and sensing significant reverence inside of me. So I wanted to sing a song a little bit about that. Just the fact that there's holiness and sacred all around us. God is all around us. And I think it's kind of what the psalmist is getting at when he says in Psalm 139, "Is there any place I can go to avoid your spirit, to be out of your sight? If I climb to the sky, you're there. If I go underground, you're there. If I flew on the morning's wings to the far western horizon, you'd find me in a minute. You're already there, waiting." Then I said to myself, "Oh, he even sees me in the dark. At night, I'm immersed in your light. It's a fact. Darkness isn't dark to you." So I'm going to sing this. I am hearing a bit of a buzz that just popped in. I'm not sure if someone unmuted. Okay, I think it might have been you then. All right, so I'm going to go for it. I hope you enjoy. Where can I go from your presence? Where can I hide from your love? Here in my lungs bears your goodness. Your face in the sun shines above. You are all around me. 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 Dwelling in light and in shadow, certainty and unknown, reflected in eyes of the broken, and the saint in the praise and the groan. You are all around me. 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 Yeah. And these bones are humming with reverence. These bones are humming with reverence. You are all around me. 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 All right.
Oh, just love that. Just in reflecting on a song, in sort of speaking through the space of isolation, which I know is experienced by so many different people in so many different ways. Like I know for example, you guys, you got 4 kids, and so isolation looks a little bit different, in the Wilson home than it does for some of us, and then some of our dear friends who are, really in their apartments all by themselves. And so just this, to sing about this, the all surrounding nature of God's presence to us, it feels really, really cathartic and important to me in this space. And I love that. I also have to say, Adrian, that your falsetto notes were just killer. That was sweet. nicely done. Just kind of looking here at the Facebook feed, Erica Kibuka says, reflected in the eyes of the broken and saint in the praise and the groan. I just love that lyric, Adrian. And so again, I love hearing the resonance of, how some of this language is really impacting people. And just kind of open it up if anyone has any other thoughts or reflections for Adrian in this time. The other thing is that we probably, if we want, we could have time. I know Adrian has a second song that he could also sing within, because every creative basically has about 15 minutes or so. But I just thank you for the gift of, I look at you and I think, thank you for the gift of your friendship. But thank you for the gift of your music. Adrian and I years ago recorded an album together too, which was a lot of fun. That might have to happen again at some point in the not too distant future. But
you know what, Chris? I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to hearing what's coming next. So
that's great. I'm just taking a look over here, and Corey Harsh Wilson is just saying that she'd love it if you'd be able to post maybe the lyrics in the comments field. If you have that handy, I don't know if that's handy for you or not, but that might be a great thing. And Callum Reese says, bring on the Bee Gees covers. That's great. That's awesome.
Love it.
All right, cool. Well, I'm just I don't want to completely shock Andy, so I just want to give him a notice that he's up. So it's just before I do that, so that I have Andy has at least 30 seconds to kind of prepare to be on stage, so to speak. Do you have any kind of parting thoughts or anything, just kind of to speak out? You have the ear of some both the creative community, but also just kind of at large, and kind of in a lot of ways around the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say, just in the spirit of thinking about God's presence being everywhere and all around us, I think the idea too is that God created all of this, and He is in that creation. And just speaking to creative people and all of us, we're all creative in one way or another, or many ways. But you're putting yourselves in that creation, and God is in that as well. And all creation is spiritual, I believe. Whether that be songwriting or hosting somebody, quilt making. I saw in the Vineyard, Canada, some beautiful quilt making. There's so many different forms of creativity and creation, and just encourage people to share that, and be vulnerable, and I just celebrate all the creativity that I've seen so far, and look forward to what's to come.
That's awesome.
So thank you, everyone. Yeah.
That's great. And just one thing, I'm noticing some people are asking where they can find your music. You have a YouTube channel, or where's your music available? So I know that you've been posting some stuff on your Facebook page a little bit lately. I think I've seen that popping up.
Yeah, more recently, I'll put a link in the channel.
Yeah,
but there's a little bit of stuff on YouTube, SoundCloud, but I'll share some links.
Yeah, awesome. All right, man. Thank you so much for doing that, for being here, and I'll see you soon. Okay, and so with that, we're going to bring up Andy Park is going to join us now, and so I'm going to just bring him into the presentation room here, and thank you so much for doing that, being here. And, hey, man, how are you doing?
Hey, Chris.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
I was listening to you on my phone.
On
I was tuning into the.
Perfect.
I didn't want to miss out on that. So,
no, that makes sense. Awesome. Hey, it's really good to see you. It's been a while.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for doing this. So,
sure.
Yeah. Hey, so right now, we're just before we play your new song with lyric video. Do you want to just kind of introduce yourself, speak to the song, to the process at all? Yeah, it'd be great. I'll just give you the floor here and go for it.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Hi, everybody. This song is I've been working on it for a few months, and good friends Brian and Laura Lee Thiessen played and sang on it, and I programmed the drums, had a good friend bass player play on it as well, and sort of the message connected to it is I've been on about a 6-year journey of learning to produce my own music in my own little home studio, which is new after some decades of having other people handle all of the technical side of recording. Of course, when you're wearing the hat of arranger, producer, engineer, performer of many instruments, there's a big learning curve. And what I want to say to any of you creatives is it's worth it to hang in there and to take little steps to continue to gain more tools and improve your skills. And, for instance, 43 years ago, when I was 19, I began teaching myself piano. And having been playing guitar for about 10 years already, and it's only in about the last year, although I have occasionally performed with piano. In the last year, I've done quite a bit of recording with piano. Thank God for the comping features on recording platforms, but I actually can contribute legitimate keyboard parts, which of course you can play all kinds of instruments. So I'm just, I want to echo something I heard Stu Gerard say on a podcast the other day. Stu was the electric guitarist for band Delirious, and he's now, I think he lives in Nashville, and he plays for Michael W. Smith's, and he said, there's a couple thousand other guitarists that he competes with to get that gig. And that's a different kind of scene than most of us or all of us are involved with. But the principle applies. He was asked by Adam Russell hosting the podcast, so what advice would you give people? And in two of his answers to questions in that kind of subject were practice. And so whether it's practicing your instrument, practicing singing, and being willing to invest thousands of hours to develop a skill. And while you do it, knowing that every single effort is in itself an act of worship, regardless if anybody else ever hears it. And I'm more convinced of that than ever. I mean, that's kind of a truth that all of us have heard many times. We're performing or doing our art for an audience of one, but I really have experienced that more deeply than ever in the last year or so. Many times through the years, I've struggled with the whole tension between serving as a minister and getting yourself out in the public eye. And just in the last few weeks, the Lord's been strongly speaking to me, do not hide your light under a bushel. Let your light be seen and impart what you have in whatever arena God has given you to minister. And specifically, I am in the planning stages of a regular series that I'm going to be posting. And of course, with the internet, there's millions of potential viewers. And on one hand, we're not into a numbers game, but if I do a live thing like this, and there's 3 guys in Africa and a few in Australia and a handful wherever, that's eternally valuable input that they're receiving. And so the other thing I'll just say, it's a long introduction, but another podcast from the Ferment I heard recently was one Casey Coram did, and he gave 4 or 5 values. One of them was human. And part of being human in our arts is letting the real us come out. And so I was a teenager in the 70s, and there was a lot of very soulful music in the air in that decade. Everything from, Andre Crouch on the gospel side to all kinds of Motown, Southern rock, and people like Bill Withers and just every kind of shade of color of soulfulness. And when I was beginning in Vineyard music in the 80s, that kind of thing wasn't really embraced because John Wimber was in a place of coming out of being a professional performer, and he was resisting anything that to him felt like people are performing for people rather than connecting with God. And that was a very valid concern that he had. But 4 decades later, we've now come through a time where in the U.S. Vineyard music has presented Vineyard soul, Vineyard worship done with soulfulness, with African American kind of sounds, and so ironically for me, that spurred me on to do what's always been in me, because that's one of the kinds of music that naturally comes out of me. Even though I'm as white as any white man can be, So I can never do white gospel, black gospel, but I can do white gospel. So anyway, and so that's a way of saying, like, whatever style of painting or speaking or performing you have, use that, and be the unique you that God has created you to be. He likes that. So
it's good, man. It's a good reminder. And there's a lot of cookie cutter stuff out there that there's a pull towards cookie cutterness, is what I mean to say. I don't mean to be critical. It's important for us to remember that there's something unique and flavorful that we get to contribute in our creativity, right? Making stuff that is new. So that's awesome. All right, well, shall we play the video?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, and everyone who was on the very first one, you're waiting with bated breath out of the first session to see if this works. I am feeling confident that we got this nailed. So, so here goes.
gaze upon your beauty, to live with you forever, to see your face, to gaze upon your beauty. So
Oh man, that's delightful, and just the tastiness of that guitar in particular.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah,
love.
that added a lot.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
it's interesting. Just kind of if I had this experience a little while ago in kind of walking through COVID land, COVIDia, as I
Yeah.
kind of starting to
Yeah.
refer to this like weird space that we're in, and you know, as a pastor, which is kind of my day job, well, more than my day job, but whatever. You know, I'm spending a lot of time focusing in on connecting and thinking about the you know, the big meta story that we're caught in, and trying to find our place in it, and meaning and mission and all of these different kinds of things that are confusing, and so a lot of head work going on, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And even regular points of connection with our community, reflecting in the morning on scripture and all this sort of thing. And but I had this moment a little while ago where I was connecting actually with my spiritual director, with Cliff Hyde, and we opened in silence, and I had almost like it's almost like I forgot to look for the Lord, the beauty of the Lord in the moment, and just to be brought into that space of just the simplicity of
Yeah.
encounter, you know, which is kind of that feels really resonant with the heart of that song of just kind of, because that place is not, you know, I mean, it may affect our positioning towards that space, but like the Lord's intimacy and his nearness to us is not diminished in this time. And so
Right
that's
on.
just something that kind of resonated with me as I was listening to that. I don't know if that's the
Cool.
spot that you were in as you were writing it, but just kind of, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of the thoughts I've had a lot about beauty in the last months and is that that we live in a world of constant images being thrown at us, including a lot of human beauty and beautiful whatever, just beautiful experiences, and all of us have a great hunger to be immersed in and surrounded by beauty, and God gifts us with many beautiful things, beautiful marriage relationships, and I mean, in British Columbia, there's a lot of beautiful creation for which I'm so thankful.
You should be.
Yeah, yeah, but it really, as soon as we elevate any one of those beautiful things that God has created or given us too high, it becomes an idol. And it really, the positive way to frame it is that everything beautiful points to how beautiful God himself is.
Yeah.
And that yearning for connection with perfect beauty can only be satisfied in our connection with God, and that's the constant reminder of when we worship that he's our ultimate fulfillment.
Yeah.
So
good, man. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that's just released, right? That song?
that not quite. Like that's not even the final mix yet.
Okay.
And
Well,
it's
thanks
not
for letting
mastered,
us.
and so
Thanks for
I've got a
letting us
little
in.
bit more work to do on it.
Okay.
It's close, but
Awesome. Well, we'll stay.
yeah, and I think late May or early June, probably this EP will be out somewhere around there.
Awesome. Well, thanks for giving us a sneak peek of it. I just really appreciate it, and for just the voice that you carry and speaking into the uniqueness that is God's gift to all of us and one another, right? So I appreciate that.
Thanks.
So I'm just gonna transition to we're gonna have Sarah come, and she's got some Sarah Pitt has some visual things for us to reflect on. So Andy, thank you so much.
God bless
I'm
you.
gonna drop you back into that other Zoom room, and then you can head back into the rest of the normal world at that point. Thanks, man. See you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Sarah.
Hello.
Hey. Yes, sure can see you, can hear you.
Awesome.
How are you? How is it with you today?
Good, very good. The sun is shining, although I've just blocked it out because I realized that was going to be a problem.
Yeah, there is that. The constraint of our cameras. Hey. Yeah. So just by way of a quick introduction, I met Sarah last year. We had a worship retreat. A bunch of people came together, creatives in the Abbotsford area, and had a wonderful time together. And really grateful to have you here to just kind of speak to some of the things that are resonating for you in this time. And I got some shout outs coming here. Kelowna Vineyard, yay! Shout out. So
that's it.
Yeah. Hey, so introduce yourself. I'll just kind of give you the floor here, and go for it. Thank you so much for this.
Okay. So my name is Sarah Pitt. Hello, everybody. I'm from Kelowna here. Attend the Kelowna Vineyard probably 12 years or so now. So getting on a bit and seeing some changes and transitions, and it's an amazing community to be in. Today I'm going to share some of my artwork, and most of my art actually in the last 15 years has been used mostly for developing skills of young student learners and hopefully inspiring them. I was actually able to be on a nonprofit grant for 3 years, working with a substantial, grant of money in one particular school where we just focused on infusing art into the curriculum, and we were given, over and above our financial resources to be able to fund that and to be able to open the world up to, kids beyond maybe the traditional kind of elementary art. So that's really a lot of my focus has been through education. But now, actually, this year is a different rhythm for me, coincidentally. And I've been focused more on my art, maybe for the development of my skills, and to perhaps used to express God and however he wants to use it. So I also worked with a coach last fall who asked me to choose my most important values in life, and one of which is definitely nature. So much of nature shows up in my art, and hopefully will in time to come. But just to change tact for a second, my expression of art really started as a teenager with photography. And as I lived in Paris at age 18, with my traditional SLR, you might remember those with the little negative pictures. I roamed the streets of Paris for a year and taking photographs of people and buildings that inspired me. And this continued with my travels and missions over the years. But here, I have a photograph in the background here, and I'm going to move it a little closer, although it's not showing up as bright as I wanted. Here is a photograph that I usually have on my dining room wall. And as I've been at home more and kind of walking past it a lot more, I kind of felt God, kind of prompt me on some things about it. And it's a photograph of as you may see, the Twin Towers. That was back in 1998, before 9/11. It was kind of interesting. I'm just going to move it a little closer. It was taken, we stood from the Empire State Building at sunset, and I stayed there for a couple of hours and took, a couple of rolls of film of the changing sunlight and perspective, and obviously all the different ways around the Empire State Building. I took a photograph of it in my original album that I'm actually going to show you on the screen, because I was playing around with it and realized that it showed a lot clearer on my photograph of it. So I'm just going to show that on the screen there. It's a bit lighter.
Okay, yeah.
And you can probably see it still, right? It was actually, although there's a rainbow light on it, there's actually President's Day weekend. So that's why the colors are red, white, and blue there on that tower. And it's actually the Flatiron building here at the bottom. Where's my finger gone? The bottom, and then going up Broadway, Fifth Avenue, and Central, Grand Central right there. So I kind of figured that was the one that I chose way back to enlarge.
Beautiful.
And as I've been looking at it, as a coincidence, I'll move this background a little bit. New York, other than the Canadian wilderness, New York was the place that I've been to where I felt the most alive. For some reason, I kind of, just sort of really embraced God's positiveness, the entrepreneurship of North Americans, it was so refreshing to me when I went there way back in 98. And now, for me, the Canadian wilderness is that other place where I feel, just so alive. So, so kind of the things that God was saying to me through looking at that photograph was, he just kind of reminded me that this season is going to pass. This too shall pass. This season is not going to stay the same as when, those Twin Towers fell. And, at that time, the world stopped. I remember feeling jarred and kind of anxious at what the world was becoming. It was a kind of like a reminder on my wall that things are going to be restored,
Beautiful.
It's a new normal, obviously, that's going to be established. But, the pillars and the foundations of our society are still there. They stand, God is still on the throne. It's very, what we put our hope on is very permanent, even more permanent than, two towers that you can build. So obviously now 19 years on, I know so much more of the world than, you know, I even did back then. But, you know, I kind of really, you know, was inspired by the verse in Ecclesiastes 3:11 that says, he has made everything beautiful in its time. And I have, you know, like I want to be a part of, I sense that, you know, what God is doing, I want to be a part of that which will endure forever, right? Oh, did I move it forward? I did. Okay, so back to as I picked up my paintbrush again recently, I actually just started to send people photographs of my artwork to some longtime dear friends far away. They happen to all have birthdays recently. And I thought, well, you know, this is something I can do from my home to maybe brighten someone else's day, you know, in that small way. So, you know, and then one of my friends, you know, she said, oh, okay, I want to do that with my class of essential workers kids tomorrow. Like, you know, remind me how that process went, you know, for that particular picture. So she's, you know, artistic as well. So it was kind of neat to think that in another country, there was actually, you know, that little piece of art that was expanding, and those kids were going out and observing, you know, their spring trees. And that was the picture that, you know, and kind of, you know, painting in that way. Right. So I'm going to finish by just picking up my laptop and spanning the art that is behind me. So most of what I'm showing here is watercolor. Like, you know, we've done a lot of experimenting with acrylic, and I have this very huge canvas in my garage right now that I kind of didn't really want to bring up because it's blank. And I hope that that's kind of like my goal. It's been sat there for a couple of years to actually, you know, put something on that huge canvas. So I'm just going to pick this laptop up, and I'm really grateful for my new MacBook Air that I prayed for. Yay. And God actually answered my prayers. I actually was gifted this. Wow. So I'm kind of super excited at my new technological appliance. So maybe I'm going too fast. I don't know. So yeah, I'm just going to span it. Whoop. And it's old and new. It's not all new. Oh, there's my shower curtain drop down. We're keeping it real, right, Chris?
That's absolutely. That's what this is. This is a family space. Honestly, these are wonderful. I love the use of some of the negative space too. Like for example, the one on the top left, the first one that you showed us there. I just love how, you know, it's almost outlined by negative space. That's very compelling to me. Very beautiful.
Yeah, and that one I've enjoyed taking just one element, one tulip, and making, you know, actually little cards for people from that. That's kind of been cool, and experimenting with the different shades of those colors. So it's wonderful.
I'm just kind of looking at the time here. I'll probably need to roll soon, but I do just want to reflect. Thank you for the one of the things that I really have gotten out of this. I feel like you've taken us on a journey to spaces, right? And I don't know if this is resonant with others, but I have found myself in my mind kind of, because some of us are more confined than others. We're pretty confined here where we're at in our story right now, and I've been finding myself mentally being in spaces that I've been at before, right? And so just kind of the combination of the gift of that, of being able to kind of lean back on your experiences and those places where you've encountered, you know, wonder or grandeur or beauty or whatever, and being able to kind of have I don't know what the word is, like a sense of communion with that past. Yeah. And also, though, like you said, to kind of tether forward to something that's kind of roped off to God's future in a season like this. You know, it's I feel like you've kind of struck a really wonderful balance in those two things for us, and how you've presented your work.
That's cool.
Yeah, thank you for that, and thank you for bringing. I know a bunch of us who are fans of New York. You know, it's like you just see you see the light, and it just is.
Yeah, it is.
It's a great. What it's wonderful. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. So Sarah, just in the last minute or so, I'm just going to give Nikki a heads up that I'm going to pull her in just a moment. But is there anything that you just kind of in closing in like 1 minute or so that you want to just say to everybody?
Oh, wow. Well, I guess this season is, so different for all of us, right? Yeah, I just pray that, for each one of us, we, can go through that journey of, I know that I went through a lot of fear at the beginning of this season, and I really experienced how God released me from that fear into that place of peace where I was, obviously in a much better place with him to then, see what he was saying to me and, like the artistic creative element that he wanted to, draw out at this time, right? And I feel like I'm at the tiny, tiny beginning of that,
That's awesome.
And there's so much more I know that, I want to be open to God to bring to him or, however that looks, whatever that looks like, right? So yeah, I just encourage people to keep pressing into God, giving him those fears and doubts and, things that come up and seeing his peace and his, and also healing, right? For some of us, it's a real time where, he's chosen this time for us to actually go through a journey of healing.
Yeah.
And, at times it's painful and it's totally unrelated to this season, but yet it's, he's put the finger on it and said, now's the time, to do some deep work too. So
Well,
yeah,
thank you
I'd
for
say
being,
embrace it all.
yeah, thank you for being faithful to that. A couple of comments, just some really encouraging feedback coming in on the comments feed I'm seeing here. One thing that kind of popped out for me was the, just the invitation of the large blank canvas. And so just maybe in the last moment here, just to just bless you, Sarah, in this time of kind of stepping into it sounds like some newness and some and reclaiming some things, and also into the adventure of kind of that blank canvas that's sitting out there, whatever that looks like, whatever the journey is for turning that into another space. We just kind of pray that blessing into you, and thank you so much for sharing. This is awesome, just wonderful.
Hey, thanks, Chris. It's awesome. Bye.
Okay, well, see you later. We'll see you soon. All right, and so now I'm just going to bring Nikki Everts into the presenting room. She'll be here in just a second. Nikki. Oh, I can't hear you yet. You just need to unmute yourself there.
Unmute.
There we go.
Yes, there I am.
Gotcha. Wonderful. Oh, it's so good to see. So Nikki is one of. I always feel weird saying this because I have a lot of people who I feel like I could say are like my favorite people, but I have such affection for Nikki. She's become a dear friend over the past couple of years, and is part of our Guelph community as well. And so we've been seeing, actually, oddly enough, we've been seeing more of each other in the past 6 weeks than. Because we have regular kind of check-ins together in the mornings. But welcome here, Nikki. Nikki's a published author and just a poet and somebody who I really like to listen to. So I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm not exactly certain what you've prepared for us, so just introduce yourself, and the floor is yours.
Well, thanks, Chris. Well, you're my favorite pastor. I tell people that I've been blessed by many really wonderful pastors, but you're the first pastor that I felt is also a friend. And so thank you. I feel very blessed to be a part of your life and part of your church, or God's church, I should say.
Means the world.
So I'm really pleased that I got placed in the midst of all of these people from BC, since I come from the West Coast initially, many, many, many years ago. My name's Nikki, as Chris has said. I live in Guelph. For the last 20 or so years, I've been walking with the Lord for these many years, and it's been quite a journey. I'm at a season in my life where I look back a lot, and especially now with being on my own. I'm living alone. I have had a couple of failed relationships, marriages, I should say. I have 4 children who are marvelous and about 8 grandchildren. Well, absolutely 8 grandchildren that I'm extremely fond of. But I'm on my own here in my little home. So it's been an interesting time, a liminal space. I haven't quite explored it fully as I'm also coming off of a surgery for my knee, and I'm hoping it will mean that I can dance soon. Anyway, I had been working on a rather dark piece that I had threatened Chris I would read, but I was praying about it, and I just felt that the sense of it, that this was more the season for some of my poetry from my self-published book, Connect, Disconnect. If my spiritual director were watching, she would laugh hysterically because she's convinced I'm an Enneagram 4 who's a connector. So anyway, the first poem, and I've chosen some of the poems to be kind of a reflection of my journey with God. But the first poem, and I wrote this, probably about 8 years ago, but I felt it was suitable because it deals with being alone and how, and this is maybe apropos for our era, and it's how being alone makes you kind of appreciate the small things. So the name of this is Small. I considered killing him at first sight, but the night was so dark and the room so empty and the space so diminished so slightly by his presence. So I let him stay unmolested. He survived on crumbs and the stickiness left on the floor by my carelessness, and never complained about my sloppy housekeeping. Really, he wasn't bad company. When I got home, I stood listening in the doorway for the slight sibilance of tiny wings, and I watched him, curious about his habits. He flitted, he crawled, he rubbed his bulging eyes with minute forelegs, as though exhausted from his life's exertions. Some nights he followed me into my bedroom, attracted by the light or my company. And when he landed once in a while on hand or arm, I didn't really mind the whispered touch of his tiny feet, self-evident as it was of another living being. One day I found him clinging to the screen across my window, pining for his freedom, for more than what I could give him. To keep him against his will would dishonor what we had. So I slid back the screen and watched as he edged his way to freedom. He wasn't a great conversationalist, but something is missing now, small as he was. So I hope you get the fact that it was a fly. Anyway, my next poem is called Yearning. And in the years that before I met God, I was looking for God, but it was experienced, and I still experience it as a yearning for something more. And I hope this poem kind of reflects that. So it's called Yearning. A voice calling from a great distance, a warm, familiar voice, faintly remembered but never known. For the imprisoned, it smells of freedom, but the insecure dream of safe haven, while the lonely long for family and the lost look for home. Those in turmoil seek peace. In sorrow, we hope for comforting arms. Confused, we wish for certainty, though boredom begets adventure, and the certain crave mystery. But always, there is something calling to us from behind a building or a tree, seductive, alluring, reminding us that there is always more. Whose shape is our yearning, whose voice is saying, seek me, find me. And yes, I am always yes.
So good.
Do I have nod at me when I'm through time, Chris? Will you give me a
No,
nod?
you keep
Yeah.
keep going. I love it. And by
Okay.
the way, everyone, we can't see each other, but I just want to, this is like such an appropriate way to
Yeah.
like respond to a poem that's
Poem, yeah.
So across kind of North America, the UK, and wherever far flung, we've been doing this for Nikki. So.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. Not seeing people, it helps to have that response. So when I did finally encounter Jesus, the quintessential nature of who he was love. And so this is not a specific reflection of it, but spring, hopefully it evokes spring for us sitting here in springtime. It's called Apple Tree. Twisted branches, dark against snow-choked sky, earth tilts towards a familiar rendezvous until new warmth draws new life, and buds, sleepy from chill dreaming, yawn, stretch, and burst, callow jade against robin's egg skies. Let me lie against your solid trunk and rest while seed time's sun draws dormant life from deep down. Promises as warm as sunlight sifted through young leaves caress, while love, as wanton as a new spring day and gentle as a butterfly's kiss, bids me rise and follow. Thank you, Chris. And of course, the journey wouldn't be a journey if there weren't some darkness in it. And as I've gotten older and but chosen to kind of engage with the darker side of my own nature, this is a poem kind of reflecting that. It's called Dragons. And it was inspired, before I go on, it was inspired at first, I don't know if you've seen those ancient maps of the world, and you have a little picture in a corner somewhere towards the edge of it, where maybe at one point people thought the earth ended and everything kind of disappeared into the unknown. And they would have a little picture of a little dragon, and it would say, "Here be dragons," indicating kind of the unknown part of the world that people hadn't explored yet. So that was kind of my visual image for this poem. Dragons. Here be dragons, so warns the ancient maps. Past the edge of this world lies unknown territory, lands of terrifying, dark, and dangerous creatures. Here be dragons, so warns my fearful ego, and I pause at the edge of this unknown territory, lands of lightless mazes and my shadow self. Within these caves, circuitous and dark, in dungeons dank and fetid, inside caverns treacherous and deep, live scaly, toothsome, green-winged serpents, hot, fearsome, red fire breathers. Slithery and silver-clawed, they guard a treasure. Hidden away, they slumber fitfully. Do you dream of me, O defenders of the horde? How must I slay you, O creatures of my own inventing? Must I lure you into the light, opening long locked vaults? And is this cash you guard so very precious after all, worth insult, injury, insanity? A foolish hero's quest, and yet I must, or die a different death. To turn away from that dark hole is to embrace a lesser life. So much was tossed into that black opening away from others more powerful than me, so long ago that now the dragons think. Those shards of my soft soul belong to them. That was, I guess, the shadow self. That's a bit Jungian, but I hope that's okay.
I love it, Nikki. Thank you for taking us there, and just the depth of your language, and just, I mean, I didn't actually know that about. I mean, I've heard the phrase "here be dragons," but I didn't know the context of it in terms of the map making. That's very that's beautiful. Can we get one more from you?
You got it.
Awesome.
This is called When God Knocked. And I'd like to remind everybody that when God knocked on the door of our universe and creation, he said, "Let us make man in our own image." So God here is plural. When God knocked on my door, I opened it and invited them in. Smiling and glad, they swept into my living room and got comfortable on my brown leather couch, the one that hugs you when you sit in it. I sat down opposite them in my upholstered chair, the one with a small paisley print in pink, the one that's beginning to fray. Just me, alone with God. We watched each other for a while. They smiled at me as though I knew the ropes. I furrowed my brow, a clear question mark in body language. They didn't seem to get it and just kept smiling. I certainly didn't get it. Minutes passed, or was it millennia? At last a thought came. My best homemade chai tea. They loved the idea. Eyes widened with delight, as though my best homemade chai tea was the first morning of creation. So I heated, stirred, and mixed until the house was full of fragrance worthy of incense on a high holy day, or a pudding made by 3 kings from the east. I served them in my favorite cups, the ones my sister gave me, big and bold, one red, one yellow, one blue, embedded with designs suggesting flowers or birds. The third, or was it the 4th or 5th day of creation? They took their time selecting, each cup a sacred vessel, their choices heralding the world's fate. God held their chosen cups as though a bird's egg lay nestled in their hand. Inhaling deeply, they grinned, nodded, and raised their eyebrows. Smile lines creased at mouths and eyes. Hair dark and light and in between glowed their pleasure. I think they liked my tea. God sipped and slurped and guzzled my fulsome, humble brew, brown as the earth they'd made, smooth as the skin they'd stretched over Adam's brow, sweet as the love they bore us all. I hoped they'd stay all day.
Just stunning. Just looking at some of the comments here, and I quote, "This is gorgeous." Somebody else writes, "I can smell the chai." I got transported there as well. That's in recent years has become a sort of pleasure of mine as well. Yeah, I just thanks for inviting us into the space of language that paints language that paints pictures, that leads us into spaces, that makes us smell things, and kind of pushes out the edges a little bit of just the distractions or whatever. It just kind of pulls you into these moments. It's beautiful. Hey, just a quick question for you before we bring on our next presenter, who I'm really excited about. It's the person who, and you'll understand in a moment, Nikki, who's my actual favorite person.
Oh dear, should I be jealous?
Oh, I just realized I'm going to pull us both up here, so we're both on screen.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah. So, just is there a place where people could perhaps purchase your poetry book? Is it available? I know that you have a physical copy. Is it available in a digital format or anything, or is there a website or anything?
Probably if they just emailed me. I still have some copies left that I haven't sold.
Okay.
And I do have, I know the bookshelf has one or two still.
In Guelph,
They're
yeah.
very kind. Our local independent bookstore is just a fabulous place for supporting writers, and they've supported me over the years, so I'm really thrilled.
That's one, yeah.
But email me, and
Sure.
for $5 and postage, I'm happy to send it along. I don't have it online.
Okay.
I might be able to do that at some point, but
Yeah, and Nikki
Not
also I'll just kind of shout this out too. This year, well, I guess technically it was last year, but released her first. It was a mystery novel. Yes, there you go. You've got it handy. Perfect. Evidence of Uncertain
Yes, I do.
Origin, and it's actually a page burner. So Liv and I had a delightful time singing at the book launch for that, and so.
yeah.
Thank
that
you
was
so
great.
much for sharing with us, Nikki. I really appreciate
Thanks
it.
for the opportunity.
Much
Yeah.
love, and we'll see you tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow at church. Bye-bye, and thank you to everybody. It's been fabulous. It's a fabulous day.
Indeed.
Bye.
I'm just going to give this, we're going to make a quick switch around here. I'll move Nikki back into the green room. I'm going to do this. And so now I am super excited about this. I am going to welcome Livia to the stage, and she's going to sing a song that I absolutely adore. So, but I'm going to get up and move here for a second.
Will they be able to hear me?
Yep.
Right away?
Yep.
So, hi everyone. I'm an accidental participant today. I just want to say that I think this event today is just so awesome, and because of that, I wanted to be a part of it. So even though I didn't write something specifically for today, I am digging into a couple years back when I wrote what I would call a lament. At a time when I think we didn't think we needed laments. I think they're a little more maybe necessary in this day and age. And the whole idea behind it was really this passage in Romans 8:26-27, where it says, "In the same way the Spirit helps us in our weakness. We do not know what we ought to pray for, but the Spirit intercedes for us through wordless groans. And he who searches our hearts knows the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for God's people in accordance with the will of God." So essentially what I'm saying about this song, because there is a refrain, it is very simple. And the whole idea about it really is to just give voice to the things that you can't put words to. So the words, the new words that I came up with today, they don't really matter. What matters is just the essence of it. And if you can find, what I hope is that I leave you with something that you can create your own sort of lament for. But as I was pondering this today, I was thinking, lament is very interesting because to me it's like God's not afraid of lament, but it's kind of like what Chris has created with the green room here. It's kind of that sort of interim place where we get to sort of chew things over and mull things over and complain about things. But it's not the place where we're supposed to live out of. My problem is that I usually stay in the green room and I stay in that place. But the whole idea is that eventually you come out into the performance space. You come out into your real life and then you say, okay, life, this is life, and so now that I've said the things that I'm sad about or fearful about, now it's time to actually live. So without further ado, I'm going to sing my song with today's new lyrics. called "The Lord Sees." So here goes. The longing in my heart, the Lord sees. The anguish in my soul, the Lord sees. Every cry of mine, the Lord sees. The Lord sees. That we've lost, the Lord sees. The things we've left unsaid, the Lord sees. Everything it's caused, the Lord sees. The Lord sees. Inside our veins, the Lord sees. The sweat upon our brows, the Lord sees. The answers we won't find, the Lord sees. The Lord sees. Of your love, the Lord sees. Our simple acts of trust, the Lord sees. The hope of better things, the Lord sees. The Lord sees. So there you go. Have a good day, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Oh my word. So how much of this is half of that at least? No, 3/4 of that is new, right?
Yeah, the first stanza was the only original one. Yeah.
So you did write a song for this. I love that song. The first time I heard the first iteration of that, I just lost my mind. Why we haven't recorded it yet, I'm not sure. But thank you. I'm just going to look over the. There's just so much resonance with folks here on this. Thank you for that. So good. And it's important for us to create these spaces where lament can be expressed in super healthy ways, like that. And I know we've got some some more of that coming. But oh my goodness, so good. I know that I'm biased, but I'm not that biased. Anyway. All right. So I'm gonna just. We've got Tom Paul is next next coming up to present here. So I'm just gonna give him a quick note to let him know that I'm about to pull him into the public sphere here. Yeah, I'm again just so grateful, everyone, that you've given time and space to inhabit this with us, this moment of being together, of expressing these beautiful moments of creativity. Yeah, I just love it. All right, we're going to bring Tom over. Tom Paul. Here we go. Hey, Tom.
Yes.
How you doing, my friend?
Oh man, I'm enjoying this. This is so good.
Isn't it though? Oh, you know what? Let me just pull. I just realized people can't see both of us. I want them to see us. There we go. Yes, now they can see both of us chatting. Yeah, what a gift to hear all these different voices and perspectives and thoughts and words and pictures. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's so rich, and I'm sure for you, you'll finish this now, and then you can rest maybe tomorrow, and then you get through that part, and then you get to even absorb more.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure. Well, Tom and I have kind of known each other on the fringes of this thing for, I don't know, 20 some years, maybe, I think. Something.
5 maybe.
Yeah. Kind of moved different parts of the country and stuff, but I'm grateful to have you here and to share. So we have a video that's queued up for you, but I think you wanted to do just give you some time to introduce, and then you want to speak to the painting as well. So you just let me know. I'll just give you the floor, Tom, and you just tell me when you want me to play the video, and I'll pull that up. And yeah, it's all yours, man.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, my name's Tom Paul. I'm out in Chilliwack, Vancouver, BC. Just a 2-minute snippet of it. I wasn't raised in the church. I did some music outside the church, but I was actually wrestled through life through addiction and stuff like that, and I got severely saved 34 years ago, and then the Lord blessed me with a wife 33 years ago, and she's been working me towards salvation and goodness, and, you know, our wives are great. They're such a gift. And so I've been a worship pastor and worship leader and different things for probably about 30 years, different churches. A couple churches, and I'm on the end of transitioning. Well, I've actually transitioned out from leading to just blessing and supporting and praying and encouraging the next generation, which I love. And in the midst of that, the last 3 years, I've gone through cancer, recovered from cancer. I've had 4 primary surgeries, suffered severe depression, just had my hip replaced in December. And in the midst of this, and walking through you know, God is your identity. I've developed with the painting for sure, with this creative expression of connecting to God. And he was reminding me as watching all this stuff today, that our gift of creativity has nothing to do with if there's 1 million people watching us or not. It's the way we respond to God and the way he's made us. So such a beautiful thing to have, like an Andy Park, and then other people, like, we're all different. So the painting in the back here, can you see it, Chris? You see it enough? Yeah. So it's imperfect. It's an acrylic on canvas. I've done a resin epoxy finish. It was what you do for a countertop, but I did it imperfect. I did it in the sense where there's blotches and components and parts like the painting. And the reason I did that, the name of the painting is called Marred, and it's imperfect transformation. And this whole idea that God's perfect and we're not, or I'm not. And in the midst of my imperfection, he draws me into his perfection. And I just, to me, these pictures, but God speaks to me through music and through art I love, and through creation. And the song we're going to be sharing, Chris will get up, it's called I Bow Down. It's out of Psalm 5:7 with the whole idea of, I just want to read it real quickly here, out of the Living Bible, but it says, "But as for me, I will come into your temple, protected by your mercy and your love, and I will worship you with deepest awe." And so the whole idea of the song is this, the greatness of God, and that he allows us to come in before him. So
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. Okay, I'll pull this up and here we go.
Song I wrote a little while ago.
I'm gonna try that again because it's a bit sputtery for some strange reason. Let's see if we can.
Song I wrote a little while ago.
I can't. I do have my guitar. I do have my guitar here, Chris. If that's better.
Yeah, you know what? For some reason, it's stuttering to pull up that file. So maybe if let's give that a go and see how that works. Sorry about that, man.
No problem. It's all good. Let me grab my guitar. I'm playing upside down backwards for you, Chris. You are worthy, great Jehovah. You are worthy, the Lamb of God. You are worthy, full of all praises. Lord, you are worthy of so much more. I'm bowed down. Lord, I bow down. Lord, I bow down. You are awesome, Lord, in your splendor, and you are mighty, oh, in all things. Lord, you are beauty, like no other. Still you come, Lord. You let us in. You let us in. You let us in. So Lord, I bow down. Lord, I bow down. Lord, I bow down. That work, Chris?
Yeah, it did. Thank you so much for sharing that, man, and for being flexible on the go. So yeah, I just really appreciate the space of stepping into just the surrender to Jesus in that space. I mean, that's always such an important place to. Important's not the right word, but it's like it's just so necessary in times like this where we're kind of lost and spinning and just such a even just your own story of navigating through like a tumultuous kind of. I mean, there's been a few turns for you in this story, right? And to be able to sing that out again, we talked earlier about this idea of like that's the power. One of the things that I love about original songs is that you do typically get the language that's expensive to the person who wrote it. It matters. It means something, right? It's just such a significant thing. I have a comment here coming in from Donalda. I don't know if that's how you say your name. I'm sorry if I just said it wrong. Seymour, love the combination of the painting and the song together, complementing the idea of God coming into perfect perfection as we are in our imperfection, and draws us into worship. So just it's just a real resonance in that. So that's awesome. Just anything else that you want to say about the process of writing that, or kind of just the journey that you've been on the last little bit?
If I've learned anything in my 58 years, Chris, first of all, have electric razor during crises like this and you can't go to the barber. It's one of the things I've learned.
Amen, brother.
When I talked to Chris yesterday, I had a Ducks Dynasty fake beard on, and he saw me and he goes, "What?" But here's what I've learned is that God is faithful and true when we see it or not, and we're probably not going to see it all on this side of heaven. We're going to come to a point when we're with him, and I think we're going to be overwhelmed and overwhelmed by so much mercy. And so right now people are struggling with isolation. Some people like it, some people don't. Fear. There's things I think we're coming through. So my heart for people is take care of yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Have people you can connect with when you need to, and God's got our back. And then on the creative side, the painting stuff I just started, and I've always not done it because my fear of I draw like stick man well. No, I don't do stick man well. But this thing of not being fearful to be creative, because we're created in the image of God. And if you might cook, you might be good with people, you might be good just like, it's so many different things that we connect with God in a creative way. And so my experience tells me like, just let him speak to you and express. It's about the expression of what's inside. So good job, Chris. Bless you, my friend. I'll be watching the rest of the day. This is my fix because there's no sports. But
no kidding.
You guys be encouraged. So
I appreciate that, man. Thanks. It's no sports. Most of us have exhausted like the reasonably good Netflix series to binge watch, and although I feel like there's just profound value. Like I said when I opened this up earlier, and I think Tom, you were on the call earlier too. It's like the honestly being in a room interacting with people around what they've been doing creatively is one of the most compelling. Like it's a conversation that I can have honestly all night long. Like it's just such a wonderful, encouraging sort of space to be in, which is, it seems like there's resonance out in the land of on the other side of the video stream here, just judging from the comments, which is so encouraging to see. So thank you so much for being part of this. Thanks for sharing your song and your painting and just your story. Actually, I think is powerful. So thanks, man, and we'll talk soon, brother.
Bless you, man.
All right,
see
take
you guys.
care. And we're just gonna invite Janice to come into the room here. We're running a little ahead of schedule on this particular session. So Janice, hello, welcome. I think you're still muted, so you'll need to unmute yourself there. I don't think I have the ability to do that. Perfect. Hello, nice to meet you properly digitally.
Hi, nice to meet you too.
So I'm very excited actually about this. This is one of those things when you, when you put out a call to the creative community, it's like, we always are talking about how it's more than just what we would call the fine arts, right? Which is like the painting and the music and the like performance art kind of stuff. And so when I saw the submission that Janice made, I was like, yes, this is fantastic.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to give you the floor now, just by a way of we'll see with Tom Paul's video. I did have some stuttering in there, and so we may have to be on the fly a little bit here, but hopefully the video will work. And I also have a slideshow of the two images that you want. So you can just basically tell me when you want me to bring those up, and
Okay.
and I will, and we'll hope for the best that our technology serves us well. So I'm
Okay.
just going to give you the floor. You can talk about what you do.
Okay, thank you. Well, first, I'm just really, really excited to be a part of this creative festival. And my name is Janice. I am from beautiful Langley, British Columbia, and I've been going to the Langley Vineyard on and off since 1986. And now I am part of a branch called The Table. And I am, oh my goodness, I'm a bit nervous, but that's okay. When I first saw the advertisement, to submit to be a, create something, and I just thought, you know what, this is an opportunity. I'm a nutritionist and a home cook, and my passion is all about cooking, creating community, having my Sunday suppers, making a meal that I've got from the local farmers market and making it with love and enjoying it with family and friends. But now, since we are kind of in this COVID stuff, it's very difficult for me to entertain because I can't. So I'm a huge extrovert and really social. But I thought, you know what? I've been laid off, and here's an opportunity for me to do what I've been wanting to do for years and have my own cooking show. And it's called, get it, Sunday Suppers. And also writing a cookbook too. So it's been, kind of challenging to try to video myself doing some cooking videos. I do have a website, nourishedbyjanice.ca, and a Facebook page too that I've created back in 2012 when I became a nutritionist. So when I submitted my email for this, a part of me thought, oh, this is kind of funny. I mean, who's going to, want to, see this? And I realized, I am a very creative person in the kitchen. My kitchen is my canvas, and I have a symphony of creativity. And the comments I get from people is just like, wow, this is flavorful. My tummy feels good. I don't feel bloated. I have this energy. I feel happy. I feel alive, and I feel loved and hugged. So it's just really, I love just entertaining. So now, because I also live by myself, so needing a hug is really, really like, I need one, but I have a kitty and a dog, so I'm thankful for that. And I decided to embrace the crazy emotions that are just like flying around and bring it to the Lord. And then now what I do is I create food, I still cook, and I just give it away, So anyways, I don't know if you can see my food, farm to table to food, and then season everything with love. And that's my that's my kitchen table where we sit around. And I don't know, I go ahead, we can, so you can throw up the two pictures if you like.
Yeah, for sure. I'll do that here. So, and I'll try to make it so that you can see what everyone else is seeing. Just give me one minute here with that. And
you're doing a great job. This is
well, thank you. It's a big learning curve for all of us, but yes, I thank you. I'm glad that this seems to be working at least most of the time. So, I just one interjection here from the feed that's really I really like it here. Erica saying creativity literally nourishing us. So glad you are here, setting the table and serving us even now. I can feel your hospitality, Janice. So
thank you.
Yeah, it's a gift. Thank you. It's beautiful.
So what I've created for you in my video my video will show that is, I call it a hug in a mug. So I kind of drew a little picture that says a hug in a mug, and that's my soup bowl and it's chicken noodle soup is my contribution to you. You can put the other one up, and then we can do the video.
Awesome.
So I'm super visual, so I like to show the ingredients of what I'm creating, and I also talk a bit about the nutritional benefits of the food and why I recommend them. And I support all the local businesses. The farmers markets are up and running. They're not exactly the same as they were last year because it's, social distancing, but it's beautiful to just go and shake the hand of a farmer, get your produce, your vegetables, your meats, and the little soup bowl that I got, there's a lady, she's got a store in Langley on Douglas Crescent called Farm to Province, and she's got all these cute little kitchen gadgets, and so my soup bowl is one of them, and I absolutely love it. It feels like a hug. So hope you enjoy the video.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Here we go. Let's hope for the best. I hope that this works.
Hello everybody, how are you doing out there? I am Janice and I am from beautiful Langley, British Columbia. Welcome to my creative space, my kitchen, where I absolutely love being. It's my de-stressor. I create dishes that I have gone to the local farmers market and made them with love. And I'm all about Sunday suppers and having friends and family over, creating a meal, sitting around a table, building community, and just unwinding and enjoying each other over a meal. But nowadays, with this pandemic, it's very difficult for me to entertain. So it's kind of hard for me to, it's hard. But so the blessing is I've been laid off, and my dream job is to have my own cooking show called Sunday Suppers. So I have been doing a few videos. I do have a website, nourishedbyjanice.ca. I have a website, also a Facebook page that I've created in 2012. That's when I became a holistic nutritionist. So with my nutrition background and just the love of cooking, what I brought for you today, I call it a hug in a mug. And I drew a little picture, so I'll show you that. Let's see here. Can you see that? A hug in a mug, which is chicken noodle soup. And what do we all need right now is a great big hug. And it's a tough time. And so creating food just brings me passion, and it is my passion, and to be able to share it, with family and friends, and also with lots and lots and lots of love. I am thankful and grateful to be part of this creative festival, and looking forward to seeing all the different genres of how we come together to encourage and inspire and to give each other great big hugs. So my episode that I've done to create this hug in a mug will be up on my Facebook page next week, and I hope to will be getting a YouTube channel up and running. And so that's what I've been doing since I've been laid off, is creating my cooking shows. And what I want to do is inspire, encourage, teach, and have you do your own Sunday supper. So I want to just show you the ingredients for their soup. And you can go get them, make it. The recipe's up on my website, nourishedbyjanice.ca. And what I'm all about is local. And I just really think now is the time to just really get back to being simple things. My motto is keep things simple, less is more, and support your local businesses. And I got this cute little apron from a little store in Langley and Douglas Crescent called Farmhouse in Province. And let's see here, I bought this. Isn't that a beautiful ladle? Absolutely love it. And then this is my soup bowl, and this is the end product of chicken noodle soup in a bowl. There you go, topped with parsley, and got some food on there. And it's a hug, and it's oh wow. It's very, very it's very rich and very grounding and herby. I love those. So the ingredients is very, very simple. You take garlic, an onion. So you sweat out the onion with lots of butter, and you put the garlic in. And then carrots, I absolutely love rainbow carrots. And, I don't find that they're really much different tastes. Maybe the white one might be a little bit sweeter. And just a nutritional tidbit about carrots is not just great for your skin and nails or hair, is they help with mental fatigue. So all of you out there that are, trying to learn this videotaping and social media stuff and all this, if you're feeling brain fogged and mental fatigue, grab a carrot and go walking outside and chew on it. You'll feel much better. And then celery. And so you saute all those up, and of course, and then you throw your chicken. And my chicken, I did a roasted chicken. Absolutely love roasted chicken. And then I made my broth with the chicken. And when I do that, I keep the skin of the onion on because it gives it that nice caramely, more rich flavor. And I really like bold, rich flavors. I don't like super light, but you don't have to if you don't want to. If you like lighter broth, and then I take the chicken from the roasted chicken, and that's what I put in my soup is that chicken. But you can always just get, fresh chicken, chop it up and put it in. But it's just got more flavor when it's roasted. And you put in oregano, turmeric, paprika, salt and pepper, of course your broth. I also I make and sell my own beef bone broth, so that's up on my website as well. And then I put in some rosemary. I wish you could, it's so fresh. And just a little nutritional tidbit on rosemary, in case you didn't know, it's great for gout. And it helps to stimulate the bile, the flow of bile, which is your gallbladder, so that helps. And if you have tension headaches. So right now, in one of our Zooms, some people had some bad headaches. So when you have really headaches and tension headaches, take some rosemary, smell it first. It'll just make you feel happy. And then make a soup, but do a tea. Make a tea and just drink it, and it'll help to relieve the tension because there's magnesium in here too. So that's a cool tidbit. You throw all that in and you saute it up and you put your broth in, you bring it to a boil, and then I put in a bay leaf. Bay leaf helps with menstrual, so drink some bay leaf tea and stir it all up. And then I always put parsley in at the very end, top it. Oh, it's beautiful. It's great for your breath, and it's also helps detoxification as well. And you just bring it to boil, and then the noodles I usually use a spelt spaghetti noodle, and I just break it into little pieces. You can use egg noodle, rice noodle if you want, or you can use lentils if you want. But then it would be lentil soup, not chicken noodle soup. So anyways, there you go. And my motto is season everything with love. Let me see here. There you go. And because I am all about local farmers, farm to table to soul. So that is my presentation. And again, here is a hug in a mug, aka chicken noodle soup. Oh, I wish you could taste this. I'll tell you, when all this is over, welcome to my house for Sunday supper. So it's been lovely to be able to be a part of this creative festival and to show you my creativity flair. And I hope that I have encouraged, inspired, and that you felt hugged. And we will see each other when we see each other. In the meantime, make yourself a hug in a mug, and lots of blessings. And again, thank you. It's been fun. Ciao.
Oh, so you said that you hoped that people would be inspired and encouraged, and I'm just honestly, I'm looking at the Facebook feed, and it's like that is exactly what people have resonated with. There's just so much. There's a little bit of there's one accusation of cruelty. Just having something so delicious that we can't actually taste.
Can't taste it.
But no, there's just such a strong resonance with this. And I need to say, actually, one of the thank you for bringing attention to this area of our. I think probably for a lot of us who are on this call, our food has been something that has been completely or largely commodified in the world. And I think one of the great gifts I know for Liv and I has been actually to have time and space to actually be able to step into homemade food and good food and quality food. And so I just really resonated with all of that. And I also want to say and to draw attention to, the creativity of your table is clear and is evident. And I also am so inspired by the intentionality of your space. And I think that is that's actually like another level of creativity that you've actually presented to us as well, not just in the information. And some people learned some things, by the way. I never knew that. So you're an educator, but just the intentionality of the space that you're creating around you is such the heart of a creative and somebody who knows that we reflect what we inhabit. And so thank you for modeling that. You've modeled that really, really well.
Wow.
Yeah. So thank you.
Oh my goodness, I am completely overwhelmed, and I feel that God has just really opened the doors for me to have a platform to teach, to inspire, to create. And the word intentional that you just spoke, I always ask the Lord for a word at the beginning of the year, and that's the word intentional. And he also gave me the color pink, and pink is which means nourishing and love and stuff, right? So I just surround myself with things that are positive and encouraging. And I have to show you this real quickly if you can see.
Yes, please do. By the way,
my lavender there,
yeah,
by flowers.
Oh, that's wonderful. And just so we're not rushed for time. As I suspected, at least one person probably got the time mixed up because of the time zone. So we're not under any time constraint here. So go for it.
Oh, wow! Thank you. That's another blessing. Anyways, I am just again really, really thankful that this opportunity to present something that I'm passionate and I love about. And I just want to say to anybody that's in the Lower Mainland, if you need anything, I am willing to make a soup, to make something. I can bring it to you. I had the chicken noodle soup left over, and there's so much, and it's just me. So I dropped it off at my kids. It was funny. Anyways, I was cool. And on a practical note, if anybody knows how, two things that I actually kind of need help with, if I'm okay to just, what I'm going to say is, I want to create a YouTube channel. I'm sure it's not hard to do, but somehow maybe someone can help me walk through it. And I have a WordPress Facebook page, and I'm kind of having a bit of a trouble trying to upload pictures. So those are just kind of some things, people are able to help me, and we could do barters. We could trade. I have elk and I have bison in my freezer.
Wow. Somebody has said it. Somebody called you a national treasure on the comments feed. And so I'm getting that impression. And you've got my dad thinking about moving to the Lower Mainland, which is fine actually, because that would give us an excuse to visit more often. But well, I just really want to specifically say, and again, because we're not really rushed for time in this particular moment, can I just affirm that you are doing something that's really important, and that it, like the passion and the knowledge really carries, but there's a gifting that comes with that as well. That's super evident, and I absolutely would watch your cooking show and will watch your cooking show. And we have one question that's come in, and I'm going to push that forward because I think it looks really interesting. So this is from Krista Tilley. What's the most surprising meal you've made with things that you just had in your kitchen unplanned?
Well, soup is always easy to make. But there was one when my ex is Jack, and he was always very, very, very encouraging towards me. So we were just in our backyard when we lived in New West, and our neighbors, he just said, "Hey, come over for supper." And I'm like, "Oh, Jack, I don't know what I'm going to do." So there was a Mennonite there, because he's a Mennonite, and another Mennonite. So I had farmer sausage. So that was a hit. So I just barbecued farmer sausage. I had some potatoes. I just, whipped them up with some nice garlic and some dill, lots of butter. I made a salad, and I think that was about it. And Jock's like, wow, you're really creative. Thank you. And it's just, it was just, I just whipped it together. And it's just, I think the most important thing is to use herbs and just really look at, the herb profile and the flavors and stuff, where it brings a lot more oomph. So anyways, thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you. That's such a great way to wrap up the second session of the Creative Festival. I was really excited when I saw your submission come through, and I had good reason to be. Thank you for this gift, and thanks to everyone who has presented. Again, like there's a reason why Jesus took the way that he understood the Word of God and turned it into a meal. Don't you think? This is something that he did several times, and so I just really feel like it's such a suited metaphor for what we're experiencing here today. And so just so everyone knows, we're going to take about an hour-long break, and we will get started again in 1 hour, which is 5 o'clock Eastern. And so I know there's a lot of different time zones that are checking in. So we will see you in an hour. I am going to turn off my computer and let it cool down so that hopefully we don't have too many technical issues in a bit. But deep love, much affection, everyone. And we will we'll see you in an hour.
Thank you.
All right. Many blessings. Take care.
Bye.